Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s team speaks out on Terence Crawford and demands that have been put, at least claim that Terence Crawford was making in order to get him back in the ring of fights in excess of $15 to $20 million. They respond, and I am happy that they did because it seems like common sense is not so common. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. We've got a lot of big action going on in boxing, man. We got some fights that have switched up. We've got some fights that we're looking forward to hearing about taking place. In this particular video, we're going to talk about one of the best fighters in boxing and somebody that I'm very interested in knowing what's going on with him, and that's Terence Crawford. Obviously, there's talk about him fighting a rematch with Errol Spence Jr. potentially. Talks about him fighting guys like Janabek or Chris Eubank at 160 pounds. And we had a Twitter page out of the UK called Boxing Kingdom that put out a report about a demand that Terence Crawford was making. And Leonard Ellerby, who's the CEO of Mayweather Promotions, responded to it. And whenever he speaks on particular topics, man, I always listen because he's somebody that has obviously a lot of industry knowledge, especially around how much people are getting paid. And he debunks some claims that have been going on around for a while about what it is that Terence Crawford is actually asking for. Before I get into it, though, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. And if you're a longtime subscriber and supporter of the channel, thank you so much for your continued support. It means a lot. So Boxing Kingdom put out on Twitter that Terence Crawford was looking for a big payday, and that he was waiting and gonna sit out until he got a $15 to $20 million payday, even if that means that he fights once a year. And Boxing Kingdom said that he didn't believe that that was a smart thing to do, and he would rather see him get several tune-up fights, at least for $7 to $8 million in the meantime, instead of just fighting one time a year. Now, that would mean one $20 million, $15, $20 million payday. It could be who? Canelo Alvarez. It could be rematch with Errol, potentially, depending on how well it's sold. And I think that's about it, really, unless for some reason Gervonta Davis decided to be, in a self-deleting mood and go up to 147 pounds to fight him. But those are about the other options. The other options are medium paydays where you could get, I guess, what they say is $8 to $7 million for guys like maybe Jaron Ennis, Tim Tszyu, and the like. Well, the response to that from Leonard Ellerby was manyfold. Two specific ones that he stood out was, he said, first of all, who are you guys to tell people that is at the top of their game, world champion at the top of their game, what they should do and how often they should fight, and advise him in that regard. In that particular instance, I agree 100%, because really the most we can talk about is what we would like to see and say, hey, man, I would like to see him fight Jaron Ennis because, hey, man, that's fair. I would like to see Terence Crawford fight Jaron Ennis. I would like to see him fight Tim Tszyu. I would like to see him fight Jermell Charlo. I would like to see see him fight Canelo. That's cool. But to act as if the man doesn't know what he's doing in his career and he needs to, at 36 years old, fight 3 times a year in order to satisfy boxing fans and for him to stay sharp, man, that's not anything that Terence Crawford needs to do to stay sharp, because, hey, man, he's been doing it for several years. But the thing that I thought that really stood out is how Leonard Ellerby rejected the idea that people are sitting around, that there's all of these $15 to $20 million paydays that are available for fighters in the U.S. And what he says, Mike, who is paying that in the U.S.? And on top of that, who is paying $7 to $8 million for stay busy fights? Where are you guys getting these numbers from? Well, you're getting the numbers from people exaggerating on a consistent basis about how much their fighters are getting paid. One day, Devin Haney's getting paid $10 million for a fight. Then you see the purse that is released to the public, and it's 1.5. There's a ton of exaggerations that people are throwing out there with these numbers. But even when you look at Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia, the question is, and the payday that Gervonta Davis got, or that Terence Crawford got, and Errol Spence Jr. got, and Canelo Alvarez got, right? With the exception of Canelo Alvarez, most of this stuff is not in some big guarantee where they're going to actually just say, okay, yeah, we're going to give you this amount of money to fight. You're going to have to get paid. You're going to have to, in order to get those type of paydays, everybody except for maybe Canelo when he's on the zone or Canelo Alvarez himself is going to have to actually sell the tickets to get the money and sell the pay-per-views to get the money. And I don't get for the life of me why people discourage that from being the practice that we want fighters, from that being the reality that we want. We should, at least I believe as a boxing fan, we should want the majority of the money for fights to come from pay-per-view sales and ticket sales, and not from budgets coming from networks. Because if it's a budget for a network, then the money is it's the network that's going to decide the fight that you're going to get or the fight that you're not going to get. If the money is coming from ticket sales, then it's going to be dictated by who buys the tickets, which is who? Fans. If it's dictated by pay-per-view sales, then who is the one that is going to determine how much money you make? The boxing fans are. So you're going to actually have to give fight fans fights that they want to see. And not when I say that, I don't mean it in the sense that you hear from a lot of boxing fans on YouTube where they say, well, we're the ones that talk the loudest. We're the ones that talk the most. So when we say we want is what boxing fans want. No, you're not going to determine what boxing fans really want based off how many views a YouTube video gets or how many videos are done by YouTube channels. That is maybe an indicator of the interest, but it is not going to be that is not the definitive answer to whether or not fans wanted the fight or not. Pay-per-view sales and ticket sales and television ratings are what's going to determine it, because those are all of the fans giving you their vote in the manner that it actually matters by putting your money where your mouth is. There's a lot of people saying they want this fight, saying that they want that fight, but when the fight pops up, they don't buy the fight or they don't go to the fight. And I suspect a lot of times on television, they don't even watch the fight because a lot of these things don't even have very good viewership on ESPN when they're on there. You also have fights that are out there in the UK where people are saying these are really big fights because of how much, not the UK, in Saudi Arabia, because of how much the military budget is going to be assigned to that fight. But was Anthony Joshua, Francis Ngannou really a big fight in the United States? It probably was not. Probably didn't have that much interest to it. But anyway, it is what it is. The guys made that money. I just thought that was very interesting insight from Leonard Ellerby. And, we'll see how that pans out when we find out who exactly it is that Terence Crawford is going to be fighting next. I have a suspicion it's still going to be that rematch. That's my suspicion. Anyway, that's my take on the matter. Please let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.